I, being the head of plastic surgery at the American University in Beirut, live quite close to the hospital. And so when I heard the blast, I had just come back from work half an hour before that, and I just walked back into the hospital. Once I got to the hospital, the mass casualties were already beginning to arrive. We have a mass casualty plan, and we started basically just treating people as they came in. The horror of what happened on Tuesday, I think, captured the world's imagination. And I think what we need to do as concerned citizens and concerned individuals is to try to reach out to this place as quickly as possible to mitigate the catastrophic effects of this tragic event that comes at the end of a long history of conflict and crises and wars. This is a country that has lived through a long series of wars, a 17-year civil war, the Israeli invasion of '82, and then the war of 2006, and then 40% of its population following the civil war in Syria were refugees. So it was already overwhelmingly burdened with Syrian and Palestinian refugees, 40% of the population. Right. Then we had an economic collapse and a financial crisis, and they were, then this happened, and the prospects of another conflict with Israel is still on the cards. And so this is a country which is extremely volatile, extremely combustible, and which is very complex. And that's where organizations that have stayed in the long term, like UPA, can function, because they know what is a very complicated terrain. As things become much more complex, it's only organizations that have deep roots in the community that will be able to work effectively, because they're able to move much faster, they're able to navigate their way around the difficult political situation. You see, in catastrophe management, the catastrophe is always too late to build new things. You have to have your roots, you have to have your plans, so that when the catastrophe happens, you're just going through the motions. Mm-hmm. And it's the same with organizations like UPA. When the difficulties happen, they cannot build new partnerships. They cannot navigate through a health system or a political system as complex as Lebanon. But those organizations that have worked throughout the last decade on building such roots or growing such roots, they are able to navigate it in the difficult times and in unstable times. The need is there, and people need, and the UPA is one of the best conduits to deliver that kind of aid. Strengthening the Palestinian health economy, and the Palestinian health economy, particularly the Palestine Red Crescent Society and some of the Palestinian NGOs, have been critical in organizing the emergency response to this tragedy. One of the things that happened is a lot of the Palestinian emergency teams that were stationed in the refugee camps in Beirut were actually some of the first responders to the damaged areas, the worst damaged areas. A lot of Lebanese patients made their way to Palestinian hospitals because, unfortunately, Palestinian civil society is actually in lots of ways much stronger than big parts of the Lebanese civil society, because of the history of solidarity and mobilization and hardship that Palestinians over the years have needed to become much more organized in terms of community activism.